Okay, let's work through our basic setup. So we're going to get our perfect posture, legs parallel, knees soft. Think of your pelvis like a basin of water. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tip a little bit of water out the front of our basin. And as you do that, you'll notice the increase in that curve in your lower back. Come back to neutral. We'll talk about that more in a moment. And now tuck the tailbone under as you tip water out the back of your basin, flattening out more through your lumbar spine. So let's just move between those two extremes. So I'll move side on. So tipping water out the front, increasing that lumbar lordotic curve, coming into neutral, and then tipping water out of the back. So we're going to move between those two extremes, always looking for pain-free movement. We're not looking to move into pain with any of our movements or exercises. And we're going to come into the position where your hip bones and your pubic bone are in the same alignment, in this case a vertical alignment. And when you do that, you're going to be in neutral. Be aware, use the back of your hand to check on that curve from the base of your rib cage down to your tailbone. That is your neutral curve. And when you're in neutral, force can run through the center of a joint and everything that attaches to it can work optimally. And if it's out of alignment, say if you're tipping water out the front of your bowl, for instance, then these muscles and everything that attaches to those vertebrae can't work optimally, and somewhere else along the chain is going to have to take that load. So let's find our neutral pelvis. It is quite important for helping to protect your lower back. We're going to lift up through the pelvic floor muscles. Now these are the muscles that sort of like lift and squeeze, and you can think of it as like an elevator going from the basement just up to the lobby. It's only a gentle lifting, and they're the muscles that stop the stream when you go to the ladies or gents for number one, and they're also the muscles that stop gas. Be aware you can work those independently of each other. So we're lifting up through both of those, and like I said, probably engaging them maybe 25-30%. And at the same time, we're going to tighten our belt one notch. If you had one hand above and one hand below your belly button, just trying to bring the hand below the belly button in towards your spine. Again, 25 or 30%. It's only a really gentle connection. So whenever we're working through pelvic floor and that belly button or belt muscle, I'm going to talk about our corset muscles. So whenever I talk about corset muscles, that's what we're talking about. So engaging your corset muscles, keeping that connection, feeling that length through the crown of your head. We're just going to roll our shoulders. Feeling that nice movement of our shoulder blades, our scapulae, and hopefully getting a bit of a release through those upper trapezius muscles, those shrugging muscles, those muscles that hold a lot of tension for most of us. I'm going to settle those shoulders down as if they're resting on a shelf and just get a little bit of a connection, maybe a 2 out of 10 connection between the shoulder blades, engaging my rhomboids. It's going to open up across the front of my shoulders and chest, improving my posture, so I'll be less likely to be in this position. I'm going to breathe into the base of my rib cage, and we're going to do our lateral thoracic breathing. So I'm breathing in, feeling my ribs expanding to the side, and breathing out, feeling the ribs coming back in. Your lungs are pear-shaped. You're going to get more oxygen transfer into your bloodstream if you breathe into the bottom part of your rib cage. Keeping that connection with my corset muscles. On my next out breath, I'm just going to gently laterally flex without forcing it, sliding this hand down the outside of my thigh, and the other arm will be going overhead. So that's going to stretch out through the lats, having the arm overhead, but also through what I call the elastic muscles between hips and ribs. And that's predominantly your external obliques, which I call the love handles, and quadratus lumborum. So I'm just being aware of how much tension and tightness I have on the left, comparing it to the right. And if one side feels a bit better than the other, just be aware of it for now. Don't try to force the less mobile side to catch up. So I'm a little bit tighter through my left-hand side today. I'm going to do a little standing spine twist. Now I'm going to keep my knees nice and soft. I'll just move a bit further forward from the couch. And I'm going to breathe out. I'm going to rotate. And when I'm rotating, I'm not just rotating through my spinal column. I'm rotating between the pelvis and my thigh bone, my femur, and also my feet and my ankles are getting some lovely rotation as well. So allow those feet and ankles to move. Again, comparing left to right, being aware of any differences between left and right without forcing it. And we're going to continue warming up our spine and everything that attaches to it in the other dimensions. So all three planes of movement with a little bit of extension and flexion. Breathing in, breathe out as we just gently extend through our spinal column. We'll come back to our perfect posture. Just sitting back, I'm keeping that spine in good alignment, and now I'm going to round out as I go into flexion through my spine, which is what you do if you curled up into a ball. Breathing out. So we're working through what's called the sagittal plane. And this is the plane that we spend most of our life living in, the forwards and backwards plane. And that's why all of our biggest muscles are built for moving in this forwards and backwards plane. Quads, hamstrings, your glute max, your big abdominal muscles such as your six-pack muscle, calves, etc. All of these muscles are helping you to move in a forward direction. We're standing nice and tall. We're going to do our spine stretch. And for this one, technically you're eccentrically loading the muscles, but don't worry about that too much for now. Think of length through your spine. I'm going to slowly curve through my neck as I drop my chin down towards my chest. And then I'll continue rolling down one vertebra at a time through the rib cage. Now it's up to me how far I roll down. I'm just listening to my body as I always do, and hopefully you do as well. And I'm going to keep rolling past the belly button, maybe even letting the pelvis roll. I can let my hands rest against my thighs and support some of my upper body weight if I wish, and I can hold this position for as long as I like. Usually an in-breath is sufficient for most of us. And then I'm going to breathe out. I'm going to set the pelvis first and then stack my vertebral column, one vertebra at a time, until I'm nice and tall. I might need to get that little connection between my scapulae again. And on my next out breath, again, I'm going to lengthen out those muscles at the back of my neck, and then slowly peel down. Like I'm peeling off an imaginary wall, one vertebra at a time through my spine. It's up to me where I stop. I might stop at this point now, and I might hold it here for a couple of deep in and out breaths while I enjoy the release, the stretch. Now, the muscles that are getting lengthened are actually still working. They're controlling your descent, and they're also controlling your ascent coming back to your good posture. So these are really important postural muscles. Muscles running down your spine. Some of them jump a few vertebrae at a time. Many others only jump one or two vertebrae at a time. So they're important postural muscles. And this one goes hand in hand with the exercise called the swan dive, which we'll be doing later, face down on the mat. So just one or two more of these. Feel that length through your spine the entire time as you're doing your roll down. As I come forward, I do need to draw my belly button in more towards my spine. You'll notice I don't stick my bottom out too far. It'll start to come out further as I peel down through the lumbar spine. And if I continued rolling down, I would bring my hands down to the floor and then my knees down at the same time. So hands first, then the knees. I'm going to move back a little bit. And I could choose to do a push-up or two. And if you do a push-up, just keep that good alignment of your neck and the rest of your spine. Elbows going out to the side, and it doesn't matter how deep you go as long as you maintain your alignment. And that's the end of our warm-up sequence. So you can always come back and revisit this. It's a very important thing to have at the start of each class.